Okay, we're live on YouTube.
I just have to check the chat option for just 1 second here. Okay, we're good.
Great. The virtual meeting of the PHSC Committee of Berrien County is officially underway. The roll. Shelley, will you call the roll?
Sure. Chickering,
Zooming from St.
Valrath,
Present in Coloma.
Freeling.
Present in Baroda.
So we have to know that in minutes because of the new Open Meetings Act thing. We have to say where they're from
Okay.
and that they're via Zoom.
Okay.
All right. We have John Engelhoff with us. We're going to skip over approval of the minutes for right now and allow John to address us on the request for GIS information.
Okay, I'm flying blind here, so just being a voice participant makes it a little bit challenging, but I think that's a sort of an open invitation to go ahead and kind of introduce what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have achieved, sort of built a partnership with the University of Michigan and an organization that produces a kind of software called Community Viz, V-I-Z. They are scenario planning experts, and my professor collaborator is also a GIS scenario planning expert. And the idea here is we are trying to apply expertise that usually gets allocated or used in larger metro areas. But what we're hoping is that we can use some of the power of this software to help us be better planners in our three-county region, and Berrien in particular. So in order to build a model for this scenario planning work that we're trying to do, it has to start with good quality data, like so many other things. So we have asked Lex and Brian if we could use parcel data, which is a sort of fantastic, deep warehouse of great information to help us do this scenario planning study. And Lex was able to do an estimate on the cost. So we know what the cost burden would be that we're asking Berrien County to forego. And I hope that the value of the project would sort of mitigate the cost that would be foregone.
Okay.
I'll stop there for now and happy to answer any questions.
Great. I'm interested, John, in, I know who the University of Michigan is, but this Viz company, are they a private enterprise who will do this scenario work and then sell it to various communities?
No, this is they have in concert with the other two of us have applied to the Lincoln Institute for a $10,000 grant to sort of help this along. And Community Viz is actually a product of a nonprofit organization. It is a software that's available on the marketplace, but it is the byproduct of a nonprofit. And really, this is an attempt to build an academic paper out of. I mean, it would reside ultimately at the Lincoln Institute, but it would also be generally available to other communities like ourselves. It's not a sort of marketing attempt by Community Viz. It's rather a sort of larger effort to say, For those regions that need this kind of power for planning, this is a possibility for you. So it is a sort of larger planning practice effort than it is any kind of commercial endeavor.
So once it's there, if Baroda, not to pick on Terry, but if Baroda wanted to use this tool, it would be provided to them at no cost as a public service?
I'm glad you're asking the question that way. We had purchased, and Nikki knows this pretty well, we had purchased Community Viz software to do scenario planning a couple years back, and found it frustrating and couldn't implement it because of the nature of our region and the kind of data we had available and all that kind of stuff, and the way the software was kind of tooled. So we had to leave it and sort of let it alone and not work with it. We don't have the license anymore to implement the software. That's why if they can figure out how to do this, then we'd be in a position to buy the software again, have a license, and use it in our planning work. So I can't say that the product of this will automatically mean everybody gets access to scenario planning software in the region, but it does say that if they can do it and make it clear that the product that they can generate out of it has a lot of value, then we're interested again in purchasing a license for it.
So that's kind of half entrepreneurial on their behalf.
I guess it probably seems that way, although there's a lot. So GIS could be seen the same way. Just the basic way that digital data is stored and managed through GIS. I mean, that's a for-price, kind of like Microsoft for mapping. So any kind of advance or scholarly advance with GIS would come along with, rewards for ESRI, who generates that GIS software. But you're always trying to push the field of study on this kind of stuff so that you can get more value out of the product, the different options that are out in the marketplace. So I don't deny that there is a sort of strand of that, but I don't. You're asking an interesting line of questioning that I hadn't really thought very much about. We're not trying to feather their nest. We're trying to help ourselves and being able to sort of piggyback on a project that we otherwise wouldn't be involved in.
Okay. Terry, Dave, questions?
Nothing specific.
Terry, how about you?
And Bill, for me, since I serve as the chair for Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, I'm kind of put in an interesting position here. I understand what John is mentioning about the scenario planning, and that's really one of the key elements of what Southwest Michigan Planning Commission does. But certainly I'm going to take the lead of the two of you to see where you stand and your comfort level on moving forward on this.
Okay, thank you, and good, well stated. Brian, what are your thinking? What's your thinking?
Sticker shock. So the parcel data value is quite high, but you have a policy that allows for the in-kind sharing of that parcel data. In talking with Lex, it's something that his staff is able to complete in less than a day of work. So if we were to provide all of the 86,292 parcels that is being requested, that has a market value of about $43,000. So that's the part of this that just raises eyebrows. Now with that said, I think that we've got a really collaborative relationship with the Planning Commission. I think that in the coming weeks, we'll be rolling out a broadband survey that will also need parcel data. So I think it makes sense to work with the Planning Commission. I've talked about this with Lex, and it's not going to tie up our GIS staff for days or a week. So I think it's reasonable. I just was very surprised at the value of the gift that's being requested.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
You know, John, from my perspective, like all of us, I'm very aware of the great value that your organization brings to our county and to the region, the Tri-County area. I guess since it's a tool that will help you and thereby help them and thereby help Baroda and the rest of Berrien County, I guess I'm kind of coming down on the side of saying that this is worth a fairly expensive support effort for the things that you want to do. And I trust that it's in your good hands and absolute trust in what you do with it. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. Dave? Goodbye, you. I see you're on mute. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I muted because something was feeding back a while ago and I know it wasn't me, but you never know. We're providing that much money in services though, right? Not coming out of pocket
no,
anymore.
just out of pocket.
That's correct, sir. There is no exchange of cash. This is simply our GIS department will be providing John's department with the parcel data request. No cash is being exchanged.
So you all right with that then, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good.
Commissioner Freeling, you can weigh in now. You got 2 votes. You can join us or not.
I think out of caution, just so that we can move this forward, it already has the 2 of you supportive of it. I think what Southwest Michigan Planning Commission does and the partnership that we have has a lot of promise. And I look forward to discussing this in the full board, but I will abstain from this.
Okay. That's good enough.
Understood.
Is this, does this have to go in the form of a resolution or?
Yeah. So we would be looking at November 12th. I'll work with Annette. We'll get the resolution prepared. We'll have some background information on it, and we'll roll it into the consent calendar for the 12th.
Okay. Is that timeline okay with you, John?
And John, I muted you, so I don't know if you realize that. You'll have to unmute yourself.
I no longer see his phone.
Let me see. I'll ask him to unmute.
Maybe he had to go to his dentist.
Yeah, he was walking into a medical appointment.
There we go.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I transitioned into the car because I'm on the way to my doctor's appointment. Yeah, that timeline is fine with me. And I just also want to add that we have used your data before for discrete projects and then embargoed that data to make sure you know that it doesn't get used beyond just that project. So we're happy to do that again in this case.
Great. Well, we will move that forward to a resolution level and hopefully get the board to approve that on November 12th.
Okay, thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to sign off.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I understand. Should we do our minutes real quick, or is Nikki hanging on the line?
Nikki is on there, but if you want to do the minutes really quick, that should be all right.
that's fine with me. I've got a few
Okay.
minutes.
Annette submitted the minutes for the October 15th PHSC meeting to all of us. I reviewed them and thought it was very tactfully written and would look for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make that motion.
Take your
Good.
pick.
Great.
Either way.
All right. And then Shelley, will you call the roll?
Ballrath,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Chickering.
Yes,
You have 3 yeas, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Okay. On to Nikki, who really has her hands full these days.
Yes, and I believe, Annette, do we have 3 resolutions today or is just Magic Seed?
So let's just focus on the Majesty. I wasn't able to get the other ones tweaked and back to John Dwayne for his approval. So as I understand it, we're gonna have a conversation later about having meetings on a regular basis. So we'll just deal with that one for today.
Got it. Okay, so this is resolution 375. It is a contract to utilize a software system that will help us organize people waiting for clinics while waiting in their vehicles. So the product is called Magic Seat. The company we wish to contract with to utilize this product is C-Metric. And essentially, if you've ever used an app like No Wait when trying to go make a reservation at a restaurant where you say you want a spot in line and then they text you letting you know what your potential wait would be, and then we're now ready for you. It's this type of software, but for a healthcare setting. So we wish to use this product. We still have some flu clinics, some flu vaccination clinics that this would be very helpful for, as well as some anticipated COVID-19 vaccination clinics, because we're not going to have people gathering in mass in one place for vaccine. I do believe that there would be many applications for this in our clinic beyond COVID-19. So we're excited about that prospect potentially. But for right now, it would really be focused on influenza and COVID-19. And while we have modifications in our clinic for not having people waiting in a physical waiting room. So the grand total is $4,200 annually. It's about $350 a month.
Nikki, how many, if you know, how many of your clients actually have cell phone technology and that kind of stuff to do this?
The vast majority.
Okay. Okay.
And we have manual mechanisms we're using right now. So if there was somebody who needed to go with that, we were able to accommodate that. But to be able to streamline it would be easier for both customers and staff.
Great. Well, I'm tired of having somebody come out and knock on my window and summon me for an appointment. It sounds good to me. Terry, what do you think?
I had a quick question with regards to the process of selecting this vendor. Did this go through a bidding selection or was this sole sourced because of the nature? Go ahead, Nikki.
I'm sorry to cut you off. It did not go through any type of bid process. We did a bit of a search to see what type of products out there exist for a healthcare setting. We found a product that was below the $5,000 threshold for competitive bid and have opted to move in this direction.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
Other question, Terry?
No, no other questions.
All right. Mr. Allrath?
No questions. I'm good.
Okay. Shelley, is this something we vote on?
Well, there'll be a resolution, I believe, forthcoming. So it's just your consensus to move the resolution forward like you would normally do through PHSC. Yeah, normally you would then sign the resolution, but I can't do that.
So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Brian, I'm sorry.
This is the moment where I get to watch Annette's head explode. Would there be any major objection to pushing this to this Thursday's meeting as opposed to the traditional 1 week out?
What do you say, boss?
Oh, me? I'm good. I can make that happen.
Yeah. All right, Nikki, you just caught the biggest turtle in county government right there.
Squishy.
So do we have consensus of PHSC to move this forward for Thursday?
I'm good with it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nikki.
All right.
Then I guess next on our agenda is Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, can you see him over in the corner?
Yes, could I just ask a simple question? What is your title, sir?
Hi. They call me director.
Oh, okay. We rehire him, Brian, or is that an honorary title?
I think it's Director Emeritus.
Okay, well said, well said. All right, what do
Cool
you got?
kids, just call him B.
Yeah.
So you got some money for Paw Paw River, huh?
Hey,
We're working on, the grant process, as we all know, for the DNR trust fund grants is a lengthy process. And I do have an anxious property owner over there that adjoins Paw Paw River County Park. And we're working as quickly and as expediting this as quickly as we can. So we did have a resolution to apply for the grant back in March of 2019. We had the governor signed off on the grant this summer, and this is the contract that says we will accept the funds, purchase the property, and keep the property in public domain forever. And that's the way we've done it with Love Creek twice, Silver Beach land acquisition, Gulene River land acquisition, and now coming up to Paw Paw River County Park acquisition. And if this moves forward on Thursday, I will send this contract up to the DNR Thursday afternoon, and then we will close with the owner on Friday. And we can expect reimbursement, hopefully in first quarter of 2021.
So we're gonna front the money.
Yes.
And how much is the grant?
The grant is $80,000. The purchase price, we're doing some environmental work right now. Looks like Commissioner Chicken was talking.
Yeah, it's just delayed.
Okay. The grant is $80,000, Commissioner, and we've budgeted $30,000 to help with closing costs, environmental work, and our 25 to 30% match.
And that money is coming from, where are you getting the 30,000, Brian?
The 30,000 was budgeted in our 2020 budget from the parks budget, from Parks Millage.
Sounds like it's done, right? But you need a resolution moving this forward on Thursday.
It's to sign this agreement. We're authorizing the signature.
Authorizing the signature of the agreement this Thursday.
Yeah.
And is that a resolution or is that just to MAC?
Resolution.
No, that's the resolution. And so actually the resolution that you guys were sending an email, I'm going to add a couple of whereases in front of that talk about how through this resolution, you authorized applying, and through this resolution, you authorized, accepting, and so it kind of leads up to this point. And then the bottom part of that resolution is what the DNR requires to have where you accept it, and then it will authorize Matt to sign the land acquisition project agreement, which we need to have and submit that back to the Natural Resources Trust Fund.
Okay. So, Dave, this is in your backyard. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think it's time to get it done.
Terry?
So you know that I've always expressed my concern of us acquiring additional when we're continuously having the conversation of what infrastructure we have. Brian, to acquire this land, what do you foresee in the next year or two that's going to need to be budgeted for the acquisition of that land?
Well, the acquisition, that's one component, Commissioner, and we do have a grant in place that was submitted in April 2020, so 8 months ago. That grant is to develop this 63 acres. And next month, we'll know whether we get a thumbs up or a thumbs down recommendation on that grant. And that proposed construction would happen in 2022. So the county is going to have a couple choices here. If we get the grant, do we accept the grant for 2022 and budget money to, which Parks have already planned on that, or we can acquire this property like we did at Galene River. We acquired Galene River County Park in 2001. We did not develop that property until 2013 when actually the Polk Hagen Fund started operations, and that's where a lot of that funding came from. So ideally, this is a beautiful property on the Pawpaw River, on the Pawpaw River Water Trail, and it hit all the marks for the trust fund recommendations.
There's no maintenance to the
Absolutely.
property as it sits now.
I mean, once you develop it, right?
Yeah, there's no maintenance to the property right now, Commissioner, correct. And we envision trails through the property, overlook deck, and a bridge from the island that we own right now to that property. As far as maintenance, we have fallen trees, sign repairs from vandalism, and it certainly will not be a maintenance-free park, but it will not be an intense property like Silver Beach or Rocky Gap.
But to
Okay,
Terry's
thank you.
point,
Go ahead.
the money for developing it is yet to be procured. We're not building that into anything yet. Because it's-
No, it has to be procured.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can send you these backup resolutions that kind of get us to where we are right now. Once I send you the final of this one to go forward, because this is going to go, we'd like this one to go this week. But I can give you all the background along with that if you'd like.
Okay. Well, we should definitely be getting the grant. State's going to give us 80,000. Are you, Terry and Dave, you guys good with?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm good with moving it forward out of committee.
Okay. Good, let's do that. Thank you, Brian.
Brian,
Mr.
you want to talk?
Yeah. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so we have one item that's not on your agenda, but with the two Brians in the room, I think it's a good time to update you. Earlier today, Brian and I met with Edgewater Development to review the the quotes that we received for the erosion work at Silver Beach. Edgewater has to do some additional legwork on reviewing these quotes and has to have a face-to-face with the low bidder to ensure that they can deliver the type of stone that is quoted and deliver it in a timely manner. We are hoping that as early as next week, potentially next Tuesday afternoon, the PHSC would be willing to get back together to allow us to present the recommendation from Edgewater, from staff, on moving forward with the emergency work down at Silver Beach. Is that something that this group would be willing to do next Tuesday?
I would.
Yep.
Dave says okay.
So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, we had an engineer's estimate of roughly $200,000 to do the temporary erosion control work. We did have a local company put together a bid of less than $120,000. Now that number is phenomenal, but it also has both myself and Brian kind of raising our eyebrows, wanting to ensure that the contractor can meet our expectations while delivering on that low number. So that's what Edgewater is going to be doing over the next day, just having a face-to-face with the contractor, reviewing the specs to ensure that they are placing the right size rock. Our intent is this Thursday morning to connect with the admin committee, and it would actually be Thursday afternoon, to review the project with them, then circle back to PHSC to review the project with you all, and then as early as Thursday, November 12th, to ask the full Board of Commission for permission to move forward with the project. I've connected with our finance team and our treasurer to look at ways to pay for the work. I'll then sit down with Brian and make sure that we're putting together a repayment schedule that would be stretched over a 5 to 10 year period to cover the cost. The other thing that I'm doing is Edgewater is going to work on an illustrative mock-up that will show you the spec. It will also show you an elevation so that you've got an idea of what it's going to look like when the project is done. I want to make sure that the board knows exactly what it's going to look like so that when complaints likely come, you're all prepped and ready to deal with that. I guess the last to-do item is connecting back with the city of St. Joe. Excuse me. When we first got the ball rolling, we talked about some cost sharing, and I've got follow-up with the city manager to see what, if anything, the city is willing to throw at the project. I think last Sunday was a real good example of why the project's needed. If we do nothing, we're going to continue losing our riprap, we'll likely lose our sidewalk, and after the sidewalk, now it's city street that's going to be in jeopardy. Mr. Chair, those are my comments as it relates to Silver Beach.
Okay, well, good luck with Edgewater and the bidder. Edgewater's going to have to certify that they're capable of doing what they say they're going to do. But that's a pretty significant savings if it's realistic. So Edgewater can let you know, and if need be, we can get together on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
this is Commissioner Freeling. I just had a quick question for both of the Bryans because our initial conversation was about the bags. And I just wondered if we have a clarification on, going to riprap versus those trap bags.
Yeah, we do. So the trap bags, we were talking about just less than an hour ago. And without having a very level surface to place the trap bags on, it is a certainty that the wave action is going to move them around. And what Edgewater is proposing to do is take our existing riprap that's on site to do some grading to try and to properly grade the site conditions. They'll also be adding additional riprap as in the form of armor. That riprap will then be part of a long-term plan that will blend into the overall Silver Beach aesthetic. We had trap bags as a bid alternate. Edgewater is recommending that we actually use the HESCO barriers as the armor for the sidewalk and the street. They recommended the HESCO barriers specifically because they can be hooked together, creating essentially a line or a uniform approach. They tend to hold up better in high wave action as opposed to the trap bags. They indicated that if the trap bags had been on site this past weekend, even with a relatively level surface, they would likely have been knocked in multiple directions by the wave action. Commissioner Freeland, did that answer your question, or did I kind of circle around it?
No, absolutely answered my question. I think the HESCO barriers are similar to the concept of trap bags. I was just wondering, for clarification purposes, the differences between going with riprap, trap bags, the HESCO barriers, all of these. We know there's a need for a solution, temporary and permanent. So I appreciate all the effort that's going on, and I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, no, not a problem. At its core, trap bag or HESCO, they're both going to be filled with sand. So it's a similar product. The upside of the HESCO is it's got the wire box. Sand goes into the box. The wire box can then be connected to multiple other HESCOs. So it just forms a stronger line once filled with sand.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
So Brian, just so I'm clear, and Terry prompted me, we're going to do the conventional riprap down at the water level. But then we're also going to do these HESCO barriers on the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
Is there, with the lake levels dropping a foot or so, is it likely that the waves will breach up to the level of the sidewalk?
So this past Sunday was your illustration. Yes, it is likely. And the real question is the lake going to freeze? If the lake freezes this winter, HESCOs probably won't be necessary. If it does not freeze, HESCOs will likely provide a lot of value.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Something to look
Mr.
forward.
Chair, since we're talking about a session next Tuesday, can we agree on a time is 3 p.m. preferred?
I will be calling you from Cincinnati next Tuesday, so probably any time will be great for me because it'll get me away from 3 granddaughters.
Getting away.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. I'm wondering, is there a county planning commission that Tuesday? We typically meet, you think, at 2:30?
Yep, it sure is.
Meet at 1.
1 o'clock's fine with me.
If we could do earlier, that would be fine with me too. 1
good.
o'clock.
All right.
Perfect.
Great.
I gotta check the public comments.
All righty.
There's 2 people watching.
I feel so sorry for him.
You're never going to have a career as influencers.
The poll's closing a little while.
I bet they're watching to see if I say go green to Commissioner Ballroth.
Yeah. Oops, oops.
Okay, I don't believe you have any public comments.
Excellent. Any final comments?
Well, Commissioner Chitter, Mr. Chair, I've got to compliment you on referencing influencers, so
Yes.
that was fire.
All right,
Alrighty. Well, until Thursday morning then.
Thursday all.
All right.
You get them leave.
Let's all try to survive tonight somehow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you as always. Take care.